Hello.
Our story begins on Coruscant, inside of the medical facility, as Darth Sidious watches the final preparations being made on Darth Vader. His tragic defeat on Mustafar would have killed almost anyone, but not Vader. Sidious sensed Anakin's power so long ago, but past all of his power, there was always a deep darkness just waiting to be completely let loose. And even after helping to kill Windu, slaughtering the Temple, the Separatists, choking Padme, fighting ObiWan, there was still a flicker of Anakin holding back the darkness. But after burning to a near crisp on Mustafar, Sidious could feel within his students that the remnants of Anakin Skywalker's light side were burned away with him, leaving only a darkness needing to be fed. Sidious was a true advocate of the rule of two in the galaxy. His master, Darth Plagueis, dreamt of a Sith empire, and ultimately he had to die. And as Sidious initially considered armor for Vader, he planned on giving him older, weaker, broken armor to torture his student for his failure and to ensure that Vader was always beneath him. But Sidious sensed something on Mustafar, and he knew that it was Vader's destiny to be the heir to his power. Sidious would not hold Vader back. If Vader someday grew strong enough to defeat him, so be it. Sidious would give Vader armor that would help him unlock his true power. Anakin was gone. Only Vader remained. As Vader was finally put together and beginning to wake up, he had a vision of the near future. Vader saw Naboo. He saw the funeral of Anakin's wife, Padme. And now, as Vader rose up on the table, the vision ended, and he felt his new body in this new life. The searing pain all throughout his body remained, and would always remain, but it was lessened by most of his nerves being burned away. But the suit he was in allowed Vader to move just as well as before, along with his power and the Force feeling even stronger. Vader looked around, seeing his master curiously looking at him, and Vader blasted a wave of Force energy around the room. Sidious slammed into the wall as all of the machines around him broke. The room was shaking from the impact as Vader stormed out of the facility. On the ramp outside, 10 Coruscant Guard clones waited, telling Vader to halt, but Vader lifted them up, throwing them off the ramp, falling far down below before he boarded the Emperor's shuttle, taking off for Naboo. He would see Padme's funeral, and it would be closure for his old life as Anakin Skywalker. As the shuttle left, Sidious stepped outside, and he watched it go. He had a huge smile, as he knew the Sith would rule the galaxy for as long as they want. He won. The Jedi's chosen one was his. On Naboo, sometime later, Ahsoka Tano watched with a heavy sadness as the body of Padme Amidala floated by. She was still noticeably pregnant with the child Ahsoka knew to be Anakin's. She missed Anakin so much, but she couldn't feel his presence anywhere in the Force. It was like the light in the galaxy just blinked out, and she was stuck in a void of endless darkness. It was tough, but she was a survivor. She would find a new path. But this dark void got stronger, until now Ahsoka saw something in the corner of her eye. A creature dressed in all black perched atop the tallest building nearby. It was huge, menacing, dark, and staring right at her. Ahsoka looked away for a moment, but when she looked back up, it was gone. Panic set in, and Ahsoka decided to leave. She knew any light side user was in danger, so she tried to get out of here. And as Ahsoka took off, Bail Organa noticed her from the other side of the funeral. He knew that Ahsoka could be a great ally for fighting the Empire, so he followed her from a distance. Ahsoka went from a quick walk to a run, as the dark feelings seemed to be closing in all around her. She was descending down a spiral staircase to the area where her ship was parked, but as she reached the final step, an armored hand reached out, grabbing her by the neck, slamming her into the wall. The wall crumbled as she flew through it, and she quickly stood back up, dazed and confused. The creature now stood over her as Ahsoka wiped blood from her eyes, asking Vader what he is. Vader tilted his head, asking Ahsoka if she really doesn't remember him. Ahsoka said she felt something familiar, but nothing good. Neither of them had lightsabers, but Ahsoka still ran at the dark creature, determined to bring him down. She leapt into the air, using a series of kicks to try and bring him down, and Vader absorbed these blows with ease, slowly backing up. Ahsoka landed, punching for Vader's chest, but he caught Ahsoka's wrist mid-punch, twisting it painfully until it broke, and he lifted her off the ground, hurling her across the room. She hit the ground hard, but her determination did not waver. Ahsoka used the Force to propel herself back at Vader, launching explosive canisters at him through the Force. Vader jumped over two of them, then let another hit him as he walked through the fire, blocking a series of acrobatic flips and kicks from Ahsoka. and with a forceful sweep of his arm, Vader sent Ahsoka crashing into a pillar, the stone cracking under the impact. As she struggled to rise back up, Vader pulled down the entire pillar on top of her as he approached with relentless steps. She attempted to summon the Force to push Vader back, but Vader was still overpowering it. The Force push hit him, and he merely moved through it. Vader seized Ahsoka with an invisible grip, lifting her into the air, squeezing until she was gasping for breath. Her vision blurred, and Vader let just a touch of Anakin be felt through the Force. Ahsoka's eyes went wide. She said Anakin's name with fear and sadness, and with a final, devastating surge of the Force, Vader slammed Ahsoka to the ground, her body limp and defeated. The air grew still around them as he stood over her. His mission to eliminate the light side has begun. From around the corner, Bail Organa was watching, and he heard Ahsoka say Anakin's name. Bail panicked, running to his own nearby ship, quickly taking off. Once in the air, he contacted ObiWan, who was just settling into a cave on Tatooine. ObiWan answered this call, and Bail started telling him that Anakin was alive, when suddenly, his ship was halted in midair. Bail activated the rear camera to see Vader holding his ship in place with the Force. Vader began ripping the back of it apart, opening up the ship, and Bail told Obi-Wan to protect the children before he was ripped out of the ship with the Force and quickly knocked unconscious by Vader on the ground. Vader slammed the ship to the Naboo plains, and he entered inside of it. Sparks were flying and alarms were sounding off as Vader reached the front of the ship, seeing the hologram of Obi-Wan Kenobi looking upon him with fear and disbelief. Vader told Kenobi he should have destroyed him before ending the transmission. Far away on Tatooine, Obi-Wan felt numb. He remembered Mustafar, though he did not want to. He remembered Anakin's body tumbling down into the lava, burning up without any limbs left at all. Obi-Wan remembered his own thoughts in that very moment. He thought it would be merciful to kill Anakin, and he was not feeling merciful. Plus, Palpatine's shuttle was entering the atmosphere, and he made the Jedi choice in that moment to not murder a helpless man, leaving his fate to the Force. And Obi-Wan saw now that he made the wrong choice. His mind was racing, but he knew one thing for certain. The Jedi exile could not take place any longer. He and Yoda must return to the galaxy and destroy the Sith. Back on Coruscant many hours later, Bail Organa would slowly wake up inside of an Imperial prison with clone troopers in front of his cell. When he awoke, one of them contacted Vader, and within 10 minutes the clones were dismissed as Vader opened the cell to speak with Bail. He asked where the Jedi were hiding. Bail contacted Obi-Wan. Clearly he knew where Obi-Wan was, but Bail didn't answer the question. Instead, he asked Anakin what happened to him. He was the hero of the Republic, the most promising Jedi in the galaxy. What happened? Vader coldly said the Republic was weak, the Jedi were weak, Anakin was weak, so he destroyed all of them, and now the galaxy needs to be cleansed of the rest of the Jedi. And he told Bail that if he will not give up the locations of the Jedi, then it will be extracted from him with the Force. Bail could not do it. It went against everything he believed in. So Vader stood up, reaching out a hand at Bail's face, and he probed his mind until he had the answers. He saw Obi-Wan in Bail's mind, saying that he will go to Tatooine with the boy, and Bail said he would take the girl. Vader broke off the mind probe, then threw Bail hard against the wall. Not only did he know where the Jedi were, he knew where the Skywalker children were. So that was the long-term plan of the Jedi, Vader thought. Train his own children to defeat the Sith. Vader had to admit it was a good plan, but it would fail quickly. He snapped Bail's neck, and would soon leave for Tatooine. Darth Sidious was still letting Vader do what he had to do during all of this. He was busy setting up his galactic empire, while Vader was showing the galaxy that his empire was not to be messed with. Vader traveled to Tatooine, landing his shuttle outside of the Lars homestead. He wasn't sure if Obi-Wan was here, but it made no sense for him to go to Tatooine unless it was here. Vader walked out of the ship, wiping the sand from his mask. He hated this planet more than anything. This planet helped create Darth Vader. Vader ripped off the top of the Lars home, only to find it completely empty. It looked as if the people that lived here rapidly packed and left recently. Vader was too late. He spent an hour around here, scouring different caves, until he found one that was recently lived in. There wasn't much here, but Vader saw the burned Jedi robes of Obi-Wan in one corner, and an old box in the other corner. Vader moved to the box, opening it, and inside he saw the lightsaber that once belonged to Anakin Skywalker. Vader pulled out the saber, grabbing the crystal, pouring all of his darkness into it, as it quickly was bled from blue to red. The explosion from the bleeding rocked the cave, crumbling it down until only Vader stood in the center. He ignited this red blade, and it just felt right. He would leave Tatooine and decide that Obi-Wan would find him instead, all in due time. On Dagobah, Grand Master Yoda would feel the shifts in the Force going even further into darkness as Vader was growing stronger. Yoda felt hopeless, like he'd failed the Jedi Order. He would sometimes speak to Qui-Gon here, and the fallen Jedi would assure Yoda that it is not his fault, saying the light of the Jedi will never die out. And today, a different light appeared to Yoda, the lights of a ship as it descended down into the swamp, landing roughly nearby. And Yoda watched as Obi-Wan Kenobi descended the ship with Owen, Beru, Breha Organa, and the 2 twin children. And Obi-Wan would tell Yoda everything, saying the twins were in grave danger and that the Jedi must return. Yoda was very unsure of what to do. He'd already failed to defeat the Sith once, so he would meditate on all of this while the others waited anxiously. On Coruscant, Darth Vader knelt in front of his master, revealing everything he knew. There were 2 children of Anakin Skywalker in the galaxy. They were being hidden away by Obi-Wan and the Organa family. Vader said that Bail has been killed for his treason, but his wife Breha is missing, along with the girl. Palpatine considered all of this, then decided that he will introduce Vader to the wider galaxy with a true show of force on Alderaan. Those who do not submit to this new empire will suffer. Around a day later on Dagobah, the group was still waiting on a decision from Yoda when an emergency HoloNet broadcast was sent out into the galaxy. Inside of the ship that they brought here, Obi-Wan and the others would watch on a screen as the capital city of Alderaan was shown. The Organa home was on fire in the background as Emperor Palpatine was giving a declaration to the galaxy. With Vader by his side, Palpatine said that he learned the Organa family is hiding Jedi traitors, and if they do not reveal themselves, then the Organa house will not be the only one to burn. The entire city will burn. This will be the only warning. The Emperor enjoyed ruling with fear. No one could stop him and Vader, and so the 2 Sith waited in the city, knowing the Jedi would come to them. And they were right. On Dagobah, Yoda would see this message, and he knew they must go. The galaxy will burn until they do. So together, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and the others would fly to Alderaan for a truly fateful meeting. The Sith would wait and wait until a ship finally landed in front of them, and everyone walked out. Sidious and Vader had heavy reinforcements waiting in Star Destroyers, but they wanted to end this themselves, right now. Vader watched Breha, Beru, and Owen walk out of the ship with the twin children, and his determination was stronger than ever. He felt his true power. Yoda stood across from Sidious, while Obi-Wan stood across from Vader. They all knew that either Jedi or Sith would be leaving here alive. Vader ignited his red blade, as Obi-Wan ignited his blue one. Yoda and Sidious would not be using lightsabers. This fight would only require the Force. Vader moved in first, quickly pushing Kenobi into the nearby forest. The sound of their sabers was clashing with echoes through the trees. Obi-Wan focused on defense, while Vader was all in on aggression, cutting through trees, holding nothing back. He advanced relentlessly, with each strike heavy. Obi-Wan flipped into a tree, and Vader immediately crushed it with the Force, as the 2 of them continued their fight, deeper and deeper into the forest. Not far from this duel, amidst the ancient trees, Yoda and Sidious engaged in their own rematch. The Force was rippling around them, bending the trees, shaking the earth. Sidious's eyes were gleaming with glee as he unleashed torrents of lightning, crackling from his fingertips. Yoda was leaping all around, redirecting the energy with sheer will, as trees and rocks exploded all around them. Sidious created a Force storm around him, gathering up all of the debris, surrounding Yoda in it. Rocks slammed into Yoda, kicking him to the ground, and a branch stabbed into his side as he scrambled away. The Jedi were doing everything they could, but the Sith were proving to be beyond powerful. Obi-Wan was on a momentary offensive push, but as he swung, Vader held his blade in place with the Force, cutting through Kenobi's wrists before stabbing his old master through the heart. Yoda saw this, and the momentary distraction allowed Sidious to pour heavy lightning into the old Jedi, burning through Yoda until he was nothing but a memory. The Sith won, and they emerged from the forest together. Owen, Beru, and Breha were in disbelief, but the Sith pulled the children into their arms with the Force and had them arrested for treason. They would be locked away, while Luke and Leia were sent to Mustafar to be raised by training droids and hired nurses for years, until they were ready to train. And for years, the Sith would take their places in the new Empire. Sidious would rule as Emperor Palpatine, controlling the galaxy through fear and through a heavy military. With Luke and Leia set to be Sith someday, Sidious took all funding away from Mount Tantus, putting it all into the Death Star. He no longer craved eternal life. He saw Vader. He saw that the Sith were set to rule for generations with Vader, Luke, and Leia. Even if he did die, the Sith would live on forever. So for years, he would rule while Vader traveled the galaxy, hunting down and destroying any threat with ease. Among his victims were Oppo Rancey, Ser Junda, Coleman Kaj, Cal Kestis, Caleb Doom, so many more Jedi, until Vader was sure the light side of the Force had been completely wiped out. This was his crusade, and for all of these years, he told himself he would only be worthy of taking the place of the Sith Master once the Jedi were gone. And so once the Jedi were wiped out, Sidious knew he would be next for Vader. He welcomed this challenge, knowing he would either die, or he would prove himself as still being worthy to hold the mantle as Sith Master. But Sidious would first send Vader on a new mission, telling him a new sect of Jedi have emerged on the planet Duracay, and Vader would take off to deal with these Jedi, as Sidious sat back in his chair with a smile. Vader was in for a true test. So Vader would fly to the planet Duracay. He had to maneuver a hostile region of space, but he was perhaps the best pilot in the galaxy, making his way through the stormy atmosphere and down to the planet's surface, where this mysterious Jedi sect was said to be hiding. He left his ship, igniting his red blade for light, and Vader walked through the rain on a rough, rocky terrain. It was eerily quiet, aside from the sounds of the planet, until Vader sensed something just a second too late. A sniper blast hit him in the mask, and a rocket blast landed at Vader's feet, sending him flying hard into the rock wall behind him. Vader ripped off his damaged mask, aside from the breathing tubes, and he stood back up. Another sniper bolt ripped through the air, but this time Vader caught it, sending it back to where it came from, before reigniting his lightsaber. As he looked into the rain, two warriors leapt from the top of the rocks, and Vader knocked one to the ground, but the other one hit Vader with a club that sent him back like a concussion blast. Vader flew through another series of rocks, sprawling to the ground, and looking back up now to see 7 warriors dressed in black running at him. Vader was done messing around. As they got closer, Vader slammed his fist into the ground, causing it to crack open as the warriors fell over. Vader flew through the air now, cutting the weapons of these warriors down one by one as they tried to attack him. Vader was ducking under swings, knocking these warriors away, using the Force to defeat them, and when all 7 were knocked down, Vader grabbed all of them with the Force, holding them into a wall. He held his blade to them now, demanding to know who they were. The leader spoke up, saying they are called the Knights of Ren, and they are serving Darth Sidious in pursuit of galactic dominance by his side. They were told to kill Vader, and if they could do it, then they would replace Sidious's Red Guards by his side. And now Vader saw Sidious's plan. This was a test. If Vader died, then Luke or Leia would become the new Sith apprentice. If Vader survived, then things can truly change. So now he gave the Knights a new offer. Betray Sidious, fight by his side, and when he kills Sidious, they will have a new place as his servants. The Knights looked to each other, and after witnessing Vader's power, they knelt down in front of him to proclaim their loyalty. Vader did know of this group. The Knights of Ren had been around since before he was born, roaming the unknown regions as servants to the dark side, but now that the Sith are in control of the galaxy, they seem to have dedicated themselves to the Sith. Vader would guide them through hyperspace, where Darth Sidious was waiting on Mustafar for whichever group survives between Vader and the Knights. And so as Vader descended on a long landing platform near the lava banks, the Knights' ship landed right next to his. Sidious watched this happen, and of course he considered this a possibility. So as Vader ignited his blade, with the 7 Knights ready to fight behind him with their various weapons, Sidious waved his hand, and 7 Inquisitors that have been training for years in the dark side emerged. Vader hated the Inquisitors. He wanted to be the one to kill all the Jedi, and today he could witness their deaths. So Sidious and his Inquisitors would face off with Vader and his Knights as they ran into battle near the fiery lava where everything began for Vader. The clash would begin with a dark roar as Vader moved forward, facing off against Sidious. The two of them clashed their blades together in a blaze of red light, and around them the Knights of Ren and the Inquisitors fought in a brutal melee, with a couple of the Knights using blasters from a distance. Vader and Sidious separated for a moment, taking in the scenes around them, as Inquisitors and Knights fought to the death. The Knights of Ren fought with a coordinated assault, while the Inquisitors, trained in the dark side by Sidious himself, responded with constant pushes, led by the Grand Inquisitor. Sidious flipped over Vader, swinging at his back, but Vader was ready, deflecting the strike, pushing Sidious far across the platform. As Sidious flew away, he unleashed a storm of chain lightning towards the knights, knocking all of them to the ground. The Inquisitors moved to finish their injured foes, but Vader got in front of the remaining 5 of them, blocking every strike, kicking away one of them, throwing one down into the lava, and flipping to avoid a surprise strike from Sidious as the knights began to recover. Vader told his master that he has trained him well, but it is time for him to be his replacement as the Sith Master. Sidious told Vader he will need to earn it, spinning at Vader with a Force scream. Vader raised his saber, absorbing the attack, once more dueling his master. One of the knights, wielding a double-bladed weapon, spun through the ranks of the Inquisitors to scatter them with brute force, striking more Inquisitors down, and soon only the Grand Inquisitor remained against the 3 remaining knights. Vader, using the full power of the Chosen One, engulfed by the dark side, driving Sidious back step by step until they got to the edge of the platform. Sidious stabbed forward, but Vader was quicker than him now. He reached down to the lava, grabbing a wave of it, throwing it down on Sidious. The Sith Lord fell to the platform. He was burning now, screaming in pain. Vader thanked him for saving him from the lava so long ago, but now it is his time to become the Sith Master. He stabbed Sidious for the final kill, then turned to the Grand Inquisitor and the 3 remaining knights, demanding their loyalty. The Empire now belonged to Vader, and over the next few weeks, he would make sure everyone knew this was his empire. But he would slowly transfer more and more power over to those like Grand Admiral Thrawn, Sloane, and Tarkin, while he focused more on the Force. He was never one for politics, but everyone still answered to him above all. The finished Death Star would be used to enforce his rule, and when Luke and Leia turned 10 years old, their training truly began. They were raised in an environment to maximize their darkness, and Vader would abandon the rule of 2 in order to have both Luke and Leia as his Sith apprentices, as his empire would rule for as long as he lived. And folks, that is our story. I enjoyed doing the ones where Vader just kind of, is overpowered a bit, but just seeing what it would be like if Anakin Skywalker or Vader truly got to just continue having his power. I've done a few like this. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Obviously, with ObiWan, Yoda, and Ahsoka all going out pretty quick, I think that's the way it would go. I think Vader would wait a while to kill Sidious without Padme. There's no rush for him to get to that mastery position, so he's just kind of proving himself for those years, taking out any Jedi he can, and then when that has been completed, he's only got one thing left to do: kill Sidious. And I wanted the fight between Vader and Sidious not so much to be as enemies or hatred of each other, but just Vader feeling like he deserves that role, and even Sidious kind of accepting it. So, hope that made sense. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.